All right, guys. So Nikki Haley had some interesting comments during her visit to a South Carolina historically black college, in which she talked about her potential political future. Take a look.
He still has a lot of popularity. If he runs again in 2024, will you support him?
Yes.
If he decides that he's going to run, would that preclude any sort of run that you would possibly make yourself?
I would not run if President Trump ran. And I would talk to him about it. That's something that we'll have a conversation about at some point if that decision is something that has to be made. But yeah, I would absolutely. I had a great working relationship with him. I appreciated the way he let me do my job. I thought we did some fantastically great foreign policy things together. And look, I just want to keep building on what we accomplished and not watch it get torn down.
When was the last time that you talked to him?
After the election.
Before January 6th or after?
Before January 6th.
Governor.
Yes.
All right, guys. So that looks like a deer in the headlights if I've ever seen one, right? Here's the thing I'll say about Nikki Haley, man. She's an interesting politician, okay? Because I can tell she knows how to play the game, okay? She knows how to play the game, right? But she really missed a bad shot when she decided to criticize Trump after January 6th, right? If you guys remember, before Trump was elected, Nikki Haley actually attacked Trump, right? She attacked him because she wanted him to release his tax returns, and she really didn't like him like that, right? She endorsed Marco Rubio, and then after Marco Rubio dropped out, she endorsed Ted Cruz, right? So Trump was basically her last option, right? But she did end up becoming the ambassador to United Nations, right, and working for the Trump administration. Basically, during that time, she's been pretty supportive of President Trump, right? Very supportive of him, at least publicly. And then as soon as January 6th happened, she flipped the script. She made the politician move. I think that, like a lot of other politicians at the time, she thought that after that happened, that Trump was going to lose popularity, right? She thought that he was going to lose favor within the party and that the party was going to move on from him. And she wanted to get ahead of that. And that's why she came out and criticized Trump and said that, history would judge his actions harshly for what she says was his role during that day. And basically said it was a mistake to follow him, right? That's what she said, right? Those are pretty harsh words. And that's more in line with who Nikki Haley was in regards to her feelings about Trump before she got involved with the administration, okay? And then at that point, right, once we saw that people weren't leaving Trump and that Trump still retained his popularity within the party, she started to do a U-turn, okay? And that U-turn was just so obvious, right? It's so obvious that she started to back away from her comments because she thought that the party was going to be done with Trump. That's what she thought. And even so, I read this piece about Nikki Haley, right, in which I encourage a lot of people to read it, right? It's very long, but, it definitely kind of shows that she's a political opportunist, right? She's the type of person that, she'll use people for what they're worth and then move on to the next person, right? That's just the type of person that she is. She's been doing that throughout her whole political career in South Carolina. Some people accuse her of, being a shapeshifter, right? She's the Kamala Harris of the Republican Party. She, converted to Christianity. She changed her name to Nikki, right? Like a more American sounding name. You know what I'm saying? Even though she's Indian. And, this move that she pulled with Trump, it just kind of confirms that that's just kind of who she is. And it's hilarious because she actually requested a meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago after she criticized him. And Trump was like, nah, I don't really F with you like that. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what the Trump administration said. Okay? They didn't respond. But at the same time, he was meeting with Kevin McCarthy and Lindsey Graham and other people in the GOP, but he refused to meet with her, right? Which kind of shows you what Trump probably thinks about Nikki Haley at this point. But I think they probably do have a weird relationship. And you can see in this interview here, Nikki Haley is basically saying that, if Trump runs, that she'll support him, which at that point, she doesn't really have a choice. And also, if he runs, she won't run. And she also was like, well, that's something that we would have a conversation about, that we would talk about. And I'm like, he hasn't been wanting to talk to you, at least for this year. He has not wanted to talk to you. Are you sure that you actually are cool like that with President Trump? I don't think y'all cool like that anymore. I don't know. They got a weird relationship, but I don't think Trump gives a damn about what your political ambitions are and whether or not you're going to run in regards to his decision. I really don't. Right. And I think this is important. OK, I think this is important because she's the first kind of establishment politician that we know that probably is going to run. And I would think that before all this stuff went down, I would say that she was probably the number one establishment politician that was going to run. You could just tell who's next in line, like the Jeb Bushes of the world, like the Hillary Clintons. You just know who the establishment wants to run. I think Nikki Haley was a part of who the establishment wanted to run. That's why everybody kind of knew that was in her ambitions, right? She's just kind of taking her little break, doing what she got to do, and then she's going to make her run. But for her to come out and say that if Trump runs, she's not running is interesting, right? It's an interesting move because, again, this is the first establishment politician to just basically say, nah, if Trump runs, I'm not running, period. Which, again, like I said, is interesting because what this signals, in my opinion, is that she has basically realized that she's lost the fight, right? She realizes that she does not have a chance of beating Trump, right? Or even being a contender if Trump runs, right? And she also does not want to pit herself publicly against Trump anymore. It's almost like she learned her lesson real quick, okay? She learned her lesson real quick. And it remains to be seen whether or not other politicians are going to follow suit on this, okay? Because she's the number one, right, in my opinion, in terms of who I consider to be establishment politicians. And at this point, I mean, all the establishment politicians that actually have a chance, they're either like not really pro-Trump, but they're not really anti-Trump, right? Like I said, Nikki Haley tried to go anti-Trump, and then she realized that, like, oh, she was going to basically lose her political career if she did that. Now she's just kind of in the middle. Now, if she's doing this, to me, that signals that, if Trump decides to run, a lot of these guys may just be like, you know what, I'm just not going to run, right? They're just not even going to risk it. Because, again, I mean, like I said, all the polls still show that Trump is number one, and then you have DeSantis at number two, okay? And like I said, I would be interested to know whether or not DeSantis will run if Trump runs, right? That'll be interesting. Will anybody run if Trump runs? Because Trump has such a strong grip. That is a legitimate question. And seeing Nikki Haley come out this early and basically say she won't run if Trump runs and that she would support him if he runs, I think that sends a signal in terms of how the establishment may be feeling about their chances against Trump, which will be justified by the polls. And also, McConnell said earlier that, he had some senators that were thinking about running in 2024. So, we'll see if the establishment actually is going to build a coalition to compete against Trump on the national level in regards to the presidential election. We already know that at the, congressional level, that's what they're doing. But it seems that at national level, they may be more hesitant to come out directly against Trump. So the Republican strategy, at least the establishment strategy, may just be to just win 2022 in the Congress and, just let Trump run in 2024 if he wants to, unopposed. That could possibly happen because you do have people like, Mike Pompeo, Rick Scott, Tim Scott, Mike Pence, that have basically launched exploratory campaigns in visiting states around the country. Ron DeSantis apparently is having a soft launch in his own state. So they're preparing as if Trump might not run. But again, like I said, Nikki Haley coming out like this, her being, one of the top establishment candidates, in my opinion, signals that, if Trump does decide to run, all these people might just wave the white flag and tap out. So let me know what you guys think about these comments. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.